Well, for weeks now, we've been getting a tease from our local soccer club that new branding was on the way. And on Thursday, it was unveiled that the team formerly known as the Impact would now be called Club de Foot Montréal. CF Montreal, by the way, if you want to anglicize it. They've got a new logo, pays homage to Quebec culture. What inspired the change? Why now? Now, you know me, I love my sports. But you know what I love more than sports is the business of sports. Let's get to Kevin Gilmore. He is the president and CEO of Club de Foot Montréal. Hi, Kevin. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Let me ask you, what do you call into your friends and family when you're talking in English to them? Are you doing the CF Montreal?
In English, yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
So
That's the whole idea behind that name, right? It works both ways.
Absolutely. So, Kevin, listen, you know, the interesting thing I have, and I'm going to put my cards out on the table. I love the rebrand. Love it. I'm not one of the haters. I'm actually looking at the logo, and I like it. I like the name. I like where you've gone. And, you know, especially considering that it wasn't like the previous logo was the Mona Lisa of logos. It was, you know, it was just whatever logo. Why now? Because we're in a pandemic. It's not like we're going to have bums in the seats anytime soon. So why was the decision made at perhaps maybe the worst time ever for the business of professional sports in North America to go ahead with this rebranding?
Well, listen, it's not like the decision was made yesterday. The decision was made a year and a half ago, because you have to understand, when you're going to do a rebrand, it's not just a question of flipping a switch and all of a sudden your website looks different. It's also a question of retailers that have ordered merchandise 2 years in advance and making sure that your product is developed in time for the rebrand. So there's a whole consumer products piece to this. I mean, imagine if we rebranded yesterday and you couldn't buy any merchandise, or you couldn't go online and find something, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the, you know, we set this date more than a year ago in terms of the timing for the announcement. And since then, obviously, the pandemic happened. But just like our plan on the field hasn't been affected or changed by the pandemic, our business plan hasn't changed either. The release date was going to be in January 2021 in preparation for the 2021 season, and that's what we did yesterday.
How many times did you have to go back to the drawing board? Like how many times you're like, oh, no, we don't like this, and rehash and different versions of logos?
Well, you know, the drawing board evolved. The drawing board started kind of in 4 or 5 different directions, and then certain directions were kind of set aside, and we focused on 2 or 3, and eventually we focused on 1. And it was an iterative process that involved Montrealers. It involved ownership. It involved, obviously, key people in the organization. It involved the league as well. They were very involved in terms of giving us feedback and input. So it really was a process that took some time. We never really went back to the drawing board. It's just that the drawing board narrowed itself down to a direction that we eventually focused on, refined, and finalized.
Now, whenever you make a decision like this, there will always be the detractors, the quote-unquote haters, right? And on social media, they come out, right? And we have already seen it. We've seen the jokes about, Club de Foot. We've seen the jokes about the snowflake, that kind of stuff. Tell me about, you know, what do you feel about the negativity you've seen so far, and was that expected?
No, that was expected. And listen, you know what it's like. Anyone that pretends they can do something these days and have unanimity in terms of opinion, and especially on social media, it lives in a different world, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen. We knew that negativity would come out and come out strong, because, as you know, it's like I keep saying, you have a great day at the office, you come home, you don't talk about it. You have a bad day at the office, you come home, you can't stop talking about it, right?
Yeah.
So we expected that. And we acknowledge that some people don't like it. Some people are even hurt by it. But we'd like to think that over time, that their love for the club, the sport, our players, what this club represents for the city and for them, will win them back.
Okay, I want to ask you about, you know, the Club de Foot, okay? Because I'm getting text messages about that. Not using the word football, not using FC football, football club, going with Club de Foot, which, you know, I'm getting text messages from listeners who are like, even in France they don't use that. So I'd love to know the thought process behind that.
It's interesting, because once again, we could go with the North American word, which is soccer. We could go with the European word, which is football. For the most part. Football belongs to the Alouettes in Montreal. It belongs to the NFL and the CFL. And notwithstanding, and once again, it's funny, we were being criticized a month and a half ago when the rumor came out that it would be Montreal Football Club about, first of all, it being English, and two, us just copying every other team in Major League Soccer and going with the FC.
Yeah.
So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. In the end, Elias, we decided to be different. I said this yesterday. This city, this province, has been different for 375 plus years, right? Mm-hmm. We pride ourselves on being different and defiantly different. And the fact is, I've seen stuff on social media where people go, how can you call it Club de Foot? And in the person's social media description says, j'aime le foot. So
yeah.
So it's like it's an expression that is used here. It's used in Europe, and we've never been North American or European. It's kind of been a bridge between both. So why not own that and make sure that our official name is unique, just like we are.
So, Kevin, one of the things that I find really interesting is that, it's rare that people, that companies just leave a brand that's been around for decades, right? So Impact, had been around, before the MLS and during the MLS. Why'd you say, what was the key factor, deciding factor to say goodbye to that brand that had been around for a while?
Two things. I mean, that brand was born out of a goal or an objective set by Joey when he started a minor league club in 1992. He said, I wanted to have an impact on the sport. And I told him, mission accomplished, right? We can check that box because what he did in 1992, we look at what it is today, which is a club in North America's Premier League. Participation numbers for the sport in Quebec keep growing, an academy that's synonymous with excellence, right? So we can check that box. One thing, listen, I've said this before, there are 2.1 million sports fans in Montreal, 1.8 million soccer fans, 1.3 that watch the sport on TV, right? But we can't get 1.5% of them to the stadium, right? So what does that tell you? That tells you you've got a whole bunch of people. You've got some diehards that are connected to the Impact brand, and I'd like to think they're connected to the club even more so than just the name, right? But you've got a whole bunch of people that have no connection with our club because it doesn't speak to them in Montreal. They're fans of Manchester United. They're fans of PSG. They're fans of Barcelona. They have their European club that they love because at some point, like I said, their aunt was in Paris and they brought back a PSG T-shirt, right? So they've got a connection. Now what we're saying is you can love PSG, you can love Man United, the 1.3 million of you that watch the sport on TV. But there's only one club that represents your city, right?
Yeah.
There's only one club that represents you as a Montrealer, as a Quebecer, and it's CF Montreal. So hopefully we end up building those emotional connections between people that up until now haven't been connected to our club. You combine that with Thierry and Olivier and the sporting direction we're going in. The fact that we plan on being, our goal is to be a young, exciting team that you want to come watch, right? All these things are intended to basically grow those connections with more fans in Montreal so we can have a full stadium.
Kevin Gilmore, I got to leave it there. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No worries.
But we'll catch up real soon because there's plenty to talk about on the business side, and you're so insightful on that. And it's a real great pleasure to talk to you. And I wish success. I'm super excited for the next season of Club de Foot Montréal and CF Montréal.
I appreciate it. Always enjoy talking to you.